Sure, but you can probably make the same case about Myers-Briggs, right?
I don't know.
Hello, welcome to the LCS and the
straight into
LCS
the
waiting room. We got a whole new crew today in the LCS waiting room. Pastry's joining us. Hello, friend.
Look at us.
We were just having a debate. Mark, would you like to explain to people what the debate was about?
I said, which one was more embarrassing to be caught believing in?
Caught believing in.
Astrology or Myers-Briggs?
Right.
Because
and
neither
Emily
are true.
has a very strong stance on this.
I don't, but the point I was making is that the social framing of them, fair or not, is that Myers-Briggs is the more serious one.
It's science.
Yeah.
So then it would be astrology, but not because of anything I believe or don't believe, due to society.
Love it. Okay. Good. There you go.
Astrology's fun.
Yeah.
I'm team astrology. Buy some crystals.
There it is.
You know?
Okay. Let's get into waiting room. Pastry.
That's me.
I'm told you got some stuff you want to say to us.
I got a box.
That's about all the prep that I've got.
Oh, that's all you
got.
Oh God!
He's got a box
Terrifying.
that once had soap in it,
Yes.
which
I've
makes it a
used that
soap
box
box.
before to do interviews with top
Did we
people.
get tomatoes to
And
throw?
he's gonna stand. He's gonna stand
I
on
will.
this. Get on your
Behave yourself.
soapbox. Pastry time and
Alrighty. So I'm here
Wax
to introduce how we're doing today. If you've some reason been, living under some limestone, perhaps chilling under some chalk, you may not know what's going on in the LCS, so I'm here to fix that. Top of the day, FlyQuest are cracked. FlyQuest 100 should actually slap, especially after 100 want to get some wins on the board after yesterday. Watch out for toucouille. He's my boy. Big fan. He's great. You should all think so as well. Philip Loki kind of owning, to be honest. So FlyQuest just looking nice. And who doesn't love Afro and Johnsun? Spica and Mabel, by the way, their opponents still kind of got it. TSM had some frowny faces all around, but I think that's something you should watch. Next matchup, FBI, check him out. CLG vs 100 Thieves, genuinely just kind of a banger. For real, CLG looking good. 100 Thieves still good as well, even though they have some L's in their pocket. Not so clean, though, honestly, from CLG yesterday, and I did like the 100 Thieves bot lane look, even though they lost, so there should be a back-and-forth affair with teams wanting to sharpen things up after yesterday. EG vs TL, I mean, come on, it's a must-watch. I don't need the notepad to tell you to watch that game. Go check it out. It's two of our best teams in the league. If somehow you've missed everything, make sure you tune into that. And it's always a good time with Fudge Factor there in game number 4. Go watch the first Aussie LCS champ continue to go off on people. And last but not least, two teams at the end of the day, they're at home playing, unfortunately due to circumstances, due to COVID. But Mark and I are gonna be there, baby. We're here now. We're here, Carsten. Check it out. Please, we need your energy. We're gonna have a great time, even if the teams are at home. Emily, questions?
The way this was pitched to me was that you were gonna go up and rant about a topic, and I was really looking forward.
All the topics.
Yeah, you covered everything.
I was just saying, I feel like he just made a case for me to lose my job, though.
I-
It's like, here, I'm gonna do the
I'll take it.
standings, the schedule, I'm gonna hype you up, I'm gonna give you all the storylines and the narrative in about 2 minutes.
We're done here. We got 26 minutes.
And that's the end of waiting
We
room.
can go back to our astrology
So
discussion.
we're gonna throw you back to a 26-minute commercial, and we'll catch you back here for game 1. No, I am equally pumped.
They played us out.
Wait, that was actually so brilliant. I am equally excited for the matchups that we have in store today. Of course, before we talk about those matchups, we'll refresh on the standings because it's still that Evil Geniuses squad who's one game above the rest before Team Liquid Honda holds on to sole possession of second place. And then 3 teams in 100 Thieves, CLG, and FlyQuest all fighting to jump up into that top 2 position. But that essentially does bring us to our schedule for the day, which Pastry already conveniently ran through. So if you could just redo everything you just did now with this graphic.
And faster.
If you're
And
watching on
faster.
YouTube, go rewind. You'll get
2x
it.
speed.
and jump and catch back up to us. No, we got a ton of fun stuff ahead of us today. I do think, in particular, the first 3 matchups of the day, all in a row, in terms of what they mean for the teams either in their standings or for an organization like TSM and getting their second outing with this roster. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's taking place in these first 3 of the day.
Well, I think also just the 3-way tie in third, I guess you would call it the 5 and 3 teams. I want to see how they continue to develop because the FlyQuest domination, you would say, over 100 Thieves yesterday, where they just didn't feel like 100 Thieves ever had a foothold in the game. It's a question of how high can FlyQuest kind of climb right now?
Yeah, and I think the big thing with them is we kind of started the split with the same framing of like, we don't know how good they are, but actually it turns out that they're really good.
Well, didn't they had a very similar start to their spring run,
Yeah.
right? With like five wins and then off a cliff.
No, that was, all right, let's be honest. Spring was cheese a little bit and some luck. I think this FlyQuest team is actually winning from fundamentally good play, and they should have beaten Team Liquid as well, one of the teams above them in the same that they threw at Baron, and then they had a very bad game versus Immortals, which they threw as well. Like, most of their losses are actually them inting it from winning position, which they still had to get there.
Yeah, right. I mean, even off their spring performance, actually, I had them 5th. And I think they're maybe even better than that at this point. So clearly playing off good form and teams looking really solid.
All right, well, they played in the first game of the day. But speaking of their opponents in TSM, we obviously saw the first outing of the new roster just yesterday with Soul coming in for Huni, along with an entirely new bot lane in Instinct and Chime. But we thought no better than to bring Cubby in to talk about the TSM Academy players as they step up onto the stage. Again, I always hesitate to use the blanket term TSM Academy players because it's important to note that Chime was picked up to be added in to this duo bot lane. But Cubby, your initial reactions to their game yesterday, even though it did unfortunately result in defeat?
Honestly, I think the early game for TSM went as well as it could. And I think that for TSM, that was about what I expected. This is a team where their Academy players, it's a bottom 2 team in Academy. Soul and Instinct both have less than a year of experience in the Riot ecosystem. I really don't have high expectations for this roster, and think mostly that, you know, the issues that these players had in lane in Academy, I expected to see on the LCS stage, and I think we saw some of that yesterday.
What do you think then that TSM should be looking for if it's not like outright winning, you know, games against these difficult teams in the LCS? What should TSM be looking at these players' angle then?
So for TSM, you know, some of these players I think are exciting prospects moving forward. Specifically Soul. I mean, he really made a name for himself in 7 months in the ecosystem. People didn't really know about Soul until really tryouts came around from 2021 to 2022. He was popping off on Gwen, Mundo in the offseason, and his ability to be self-sufficient as a laner, manage his own things, I think is something that's really exciting. I'm looking for any signs of life when it comes to laning. And honestly, I think Soul has a decent chance to show that against Philip today. I know Philip has been monstering LCS, but Soul, week 1 of Academy, when he made his debut, he crushed Philip in a series against FlyQuest. Excited to see if he can do so again today.
Well, they got some experience against each other. I think another thing that I've actually been very happy to see in just the brief few looks we've had at Soul is his personality shining through. I mean, obviously the story from moving from anime girl to Soul in and of itself is hilarious. But again, I think this is something that people have been really, really aching for in the LCS, is to have people like Danny or JoJo step up into the league, not only be able to compete on stage, but then to be able to back it up a little personality. And it's cool to see Soul in, you know, a split-second kind of moment with Huni having to step back due to injury to be able to live up to that moment. That's a tall order for a young kid.
And it feels like he's got $1 million smile to go along with it too. Which I always love from Soul. He's a great interview. We really enjoyed having him in Academy. And, you know, someone that is so young and has shown this amount of growth in a short time, there is reason to be excited. Even if the performances on the top stage that we have in North America don't show it yesterday, I'm hoping that Soul has some better performances. I know before the season started, I had a big thread about the initial Academy players that were promoted. In there I wrote that I didn't think Philip was ready. I was wrong. So I'm hoping that Soul can kind of prove me wrong as well and continue to up his game and really show that, you know, in this unfortunate situation where he is forced to step up, it's not just a swap, you know, looking at Instinct Tactical, that change being made. Soul was forced. The hand of TSM was forced just due to Huni's wrist. So it's a bit of a bummer, but it is a big opportunity for Soul. You got to make the most of the opportunities in front of you, and there isn't a better kid to do it. So I am rooting for him, even if I think that some of my expectations are limited for him.
Yeah, it might not be the ideal circumstances. We hope he lives up to the moment. The one last thing I want to talk to you about, of course, is as they step in, a few members step down. Most notably, Tactical is a player that I want to talk about. For me, he's been an interesting player to kind of track in his career because, like many of our young prospects, he had a phenomenal first year on Team Liquid when he was moved up, but there has been kind of this like slow, almost steady degradation, it feels, to you know, his placement within the league and now dropped down to Academy. What are your hopes for a player like Tactical in stepping back down to Academy as he looks, you know, to prove that he once again deserves a spot in the LCS?
I gotta be honest, I'm actually really surprised that TSM made the change in the first place when it comes to gameplay. Instinct is a bottom 2 laner that we have in Academy. Even taking out the Senna games, he's averaging being down 404 gold at 15 as a bot laner. Tactical is a significantly better laner. I know that he was getting caught out in mid games, but I don't know like a gameplay reason for the swap being made. I think maybe it's something where, you know, Tactical this past week, he got baptized by Jan and Ayla in Academy, along with the rest of TSM. Maybe that's something that he needs, like, to get his confidence back and kind of get him back on that horse. Because when I look at Tactical as a player, this guy's driven by confidence. I mean, we think of him, and I kind of explain his play like with swagger. He loves to step up, loves to try and make those plays. And it feels like his confidence has kind of been taken away from him over time. So I really hope we see Tactical pick his confidence back up, because when he is on his game, he is an exciting marksman to watch. It feels like he really hasn't had that this year, and I'm hoping that moving forward, maybe this is a swap where Tactical can get some of that back in Academy and really, get some of the motivation that he needs to get his spot back in LCS.
Very, very cool. Hopefully we see him regain that confidence, return to old form. Cubby, before I let you go, that FlyQuest TSM game, first game of the day, do you think the trio of players who've stepped up are going to get the win today and come out 1-1 on the weekend, or is it going to be FlyQuest all the way?
It's going to be FlyQuest all the way. They looked damn good yesterday, and I think TSM, this is a young team. Keep in mind, Spica, he is taking on somewhat of a leadership mantle now with Maple. It really felt like yesterday, despite some of the early game gifts they were given by C9 not executing, they weren't able to do anything with it in the mid game. And that's a big concern, as I think FlyQuest is one of the better mid game teams we have in the LCS. So it's going to really hurt TSM today. That's why I got FlyQuest.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for all the insight, Cubby. Appreciate it. We'll have you back soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun.
All right, peace out. As he steps away, we are going to continue the conversation around TSM because it was quite a week. There's no two ways around.
I'm ready.
No two ways around that statement. And so with all of the roster changes from TSM, we elected to submit a couple of questions directly to their management for response. So I'm going to quickly read these out. Number one, community, or the community, has been critical of differences in messaging for recent changes, i.e. Huni retiring versus Huni just stepping away, etc. Any comments or clarifications you would like to give? Now the quote. Both of these points are true and correct. We will look to do a larger post in mid-August, depending on Huni's next steps, after he is no longer officially listed as a player under TSM Riot GDC. Global
contract database?
Yeah.
Database?
Yeah,
Global
fine.
database
No,
contracts? Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure, for clarity. All right, there, yeah, we will look to support him either way when it's official. That comes straight from Glenn Yang, TSM Assistant General Manager. We quickly followed that up with a second question. TSM has undergone a large amount of change in 2022. What is the vision for this iteration of the roster, and what is being done to prevent further volatility or instability? This roster change is to provide a healthier environment for the team and to pursue the best results this year. Again, from Glenn Yang. So I just want to open it up to the floor to respond kind of to each of these statements, either in isolation, together. What's everyone's first takes?
My first take is, like, we've talked a lot about the players stepping up and not as much from the organizational perspective. And I think one thing that kind of concerns me is pursue the best results this year. And everyone has said that, like, this is not a better roster on paper. I think the improving the team environment can be an angle that TSM can say, but best results this year, I don't think that should be your goal after, like, back-to-back potentially 9th place finishes. They're not looking good right now. Like, you should be planning for the future. You should be, like, looking more forward than, like, best results this year. What does that mean? This, like, I'm still a little concerned about how quickly they have burned through players. They've thrown them to the wolves multiple times. People like take over and whatnot. And it's just feeling like organizational problems more than the players. I really don't blame any player that went through the doors of TSM this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Kelsey who said, like, you need to apply the Vegas rule, which is, like, whatever you do in Vegas stays in Vegas. But then, like, whatever happens when an organization is kind of floundering this much, like, don't blame the individual players. But I think as we fly a few tweets, I liked Peter's tweet, not even just based on, like, a Chinese player, but just players in general. Like, whenever I see things like this happen, I think from the org, I still want to see a lot of support for the players, and the conflicting messaging was the main thing I had an issue with. Huni is a player who has had a very storied career. I think he deserves his own moment, especially in his own words, to kind of say, like, what's going on. And if he's not ready to say that right now, then at the very least be like, he's stepping down for these reasons, allow that to have its own time to just, like, breathe if you know that's coming. And obviously I know he wanted to continue playing, and it was just like, I actually can't. But then the other thing is the way that Shani and the phrasing around that and calling a player liability while releasing them really rub me the wrong way. And if you are going to be trying to attract and scout and develop your own talent, that's not something that I would like to see as a player trying to go to an org and be like, oh, okay, like if I mess up within a really small time frame, what's gonna happen to me now? And how is my departure gonna be framed?
Yeah, I'm curious where you land on this pastry, because this tweet here from Raz, I think pretty well sums up.
I love this tweet.
Yeah.
Pretty well sums up my thoughts, and keys into the point you made, Mark, around like even the most recent statement of best results this year is still such a nebulous thing. Like, okay, every higher placement is better results, but like, what's the bar?
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing. Is like you need to set a line for expectations.
I mean, especially in summer when A teams make playoffs, like making playoffs isn't necessarily the accolade it maybe would be in spring, especially when the team is going through similar trouble. I think for me, it should be more about like, just like your brand has been about winning for so long. I get that it's hard to get away from that. You need to get away from that.
Yeah.
You have been rebuilding this team for like 2 to 3 years. And you need to just admit that like, hey, we're not the same team. We're still a very like respected name. You need to like kind of garner a little bit more trust in the community and just like admit that like you're figuring it out. It's okay to be figuring it out. It's so frustrating that it's like you seem to only care about winning, which I get because that's your team. But like, come on, man. Like everyone else knows what you're not saying.
Right. So okay. So let's try and put some words to ourselves. Like if you're now the GM of TSM, like what do you think the goal of this roster should be? Like, what should Summer's goal be for the organization, this roster? Is it, hey, we just want to make it into playoffs so we get at least one series worth of, postseason practice, and we want all of our players to be individually talked about as having improved over the course of the season and, being debated for top 5 individual in their role? Like, is that the goal if you're trying to develop players? Or is it, no, actually it's Worlds, like that's the goal. We're going to Worlds.
Absolutely not. I mean, your goal should be hold on to Spica and Maple. They're incredibly good pieces. Like, I think Spica's contract's up this year. That is a player that many teams, I'm sure, will be interested in despite what he's been through this year. Like, I would hold on to that call because they're already looking good with all the change. Like, I'm actually really fun to watch for me. For the other thing, it's like, prove that you can develop players. Like, you've changed so much. Prove that you can find any consistency in a settled roster and actually use your academy squad. Because you've constantly cycled through players. You've moved players to academy a lot. You've moved players up from academy a lot. Like, prove to me that you can actually be a good development team, because that's what you are right now.
Yeah.
I would say also, it's a lot easier to shine a spotlight on players on the Rift and be like, are they improving or not doing well, whatever. But like, I care just as much about coaching staff and the things behind the scenes, because one thing I saw in TSM Legends this week was like they had a draft where they didn't have bans prepped outside their initial 3 and the other team banned one of their champions and they're like, oh, what do we ban? And it's like, how do you not have more things prepped? And I think there's a number of improvements that this team can be making. A lot of them are not going to be public. The only reason we know that is because they showed it in TSM Legends. Thank you for showing some of the guts of a team.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Like, that's something that the team needs to improve. It doesn't matter who your players are. If you're not prepping well, you're going to run into problems in draft. And that's something that they've had issues with. So organizationally, they just need to start leveling up. And that doesn't necessarily mean to me like getting a certain placement or getting an X number of wins. It's to start seeing the improvements internally.
Yeah. So you want to get a better look at the processes behind things and actually be instilled with some faith that they're improving, developing, evolving, and then anything results oriented, it's more about eye test and like an anecdotal looking at the players and saying, okay, I'm seeing improvement in these young players, not they actually did or didn't win the game, or they were or weren't 4th place or 5th place or 6th place or whatever.
Yeah, and the players should feel good too. Like, that's something that's underrated is like, obviously the atmosphere has been terrible within the team, and I think setting realistic expectations, like, guys, we don't need to go to Worlds this split. Like, that will take some pressure off their shoulders and whatnot.
Final points.
I think you can point to something that CLG did that I really liked with their spring roster, where they were like, look, we don't know how this is going to go, but what we want to do is reestablish this as a place where players want to play, where they want to come to this org, they're going to have fun. And even when that team was struggling in terms of wins, talking to the players, they were still like, you know what, our atmosphere is pretty good. We're pretty chill. We get along. Like, our communication is good. We feel like we're evolving and improving slowly. And I think you did see that by the end of the split. if you're bookending like flashes of brilliance we saw from them in lock-in, and then actually steadily improving by the end of spring split. And then this summer, it's been another level up with adding Dokla, with what they've wanted from this team. I think that's a very healthy growth that we've seen from them in terms of organizational messaging and the team itself.
I know I'm gonna leave, so I'll make
Yes.
it quick. I'm not gonna get back on the soapbox, but as the biggest purveyor of history in LCS, you are one of the pillars of North American League of Legends. You are the reason we are all here today. You and CLG are the teams that built what we have now. Please just restore something back into the team that so many people have looked up to for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
I do think it's kind of funny and amazing that a decade into the LCS, the answer is TSM, please be more like CLG.
It's
Or
actually...
TSM, please take a note.
the turntables.
Please take a note from CLG. With that, that's the end of Waiting Room. Thank you so much, Patreon Time, for joining us. Cubby as well for giving us insight on those Academy players stepping up. Let's kick off the final day of week 4. Whew. Hello and welcome back to the LCS. And the State Farm Analyst Desk Grass has joined us. Looking good, my friend. That's a fresh
know.
jacket right there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Terrible dash.
Okay.
The truth comes out.
Hey, that's Mark's a true friend.
There it is.
He keeps me
Fair.
honest. You may have noticed, Mark, I think, was just holding one of them, but our set is adorned with some new Star Guardian plushies to align with the event that you see taking place in your client. You can actually purchase these. They're available at merch.riotgames.com if you want a little Star Guardian buddy. Quick, favorite Star Guardian skin. Ready, go.
Talia,
Talia.
Agumon.
What?
that's a Digimon.
And that's the end of that segment.
Does look like Digimon.
Thanks for killing the momentum on that. I don't even care what mine and Emily's answers are anymore. FlyQuest TSM, first game of the day. We already kind of heard and talked about it a little bit from the TSM perspective, at least. But I do want to talk about then the bot lanes, as that is one of the substitutions for TSM, but going up against what has been one of the absolute strongest points on the map, it feels like, for FlyQuest most recently.
Yeah, Johnsun and aphromoo have been killing it, and it hasn't just been like yesterday. It was literally just picking up where they last left off when they were destroying C9's bottom lane. So it's crazy to see what FlyQuest has turned into, because what I saw them last split was a great team fighting team. Their mid game was strong, agreeing with Cubby, but also it seems like randomly their early game has just gotten a boost.
Yeah, Afro's always been so good about coordinating with junglers. He's worked well with Josedeodo, and they have become, I would argue, the third best bot lane in the LCS.
Boom.
After demolishing FBI and Huhi and C9, Berserker and Sven, like, they just proved it. Like, they put their money where their mouth was, and now it's just kind of TL and EG's bot lane that you could contest them with.
Man is also demolishing that Venti. You see that? You're talking about him demolishing his competition. I'm pretty sure he just drank that whole thing during the course of you explaining.
He's all business.
They have actually been absolutely stellar, though, as a bot lane, and I think that that's going to be, again, a big consideration for this TSM bot lane that's just stepping onto the Rift together, again, with Chime being picked up to slot in. It's not going to be an easy task for them today.
It definitely won't. I mean, I will say, though, that Chime and Instinct played well yesterday in the early laning phase. They were able to get a pick off, of course, on Berserker in the bot side of the map. They pushed back a dive that happened and made it a 1-for-1. So depending on the expectation was rarely low.
Right.
But then they came out above average. I do not expect that to be the case going into Johnsun and aphromoo, so I do think they need to be able to ramp it up a little bit more. So I'm not expecting a lot, but they're at least still delivering.
I think there's going to be questions about whether or not they can manage to kind of take it to him in a 2v2 like they did against Ballista there and even pick up an early kill or not, or if their role today will be to, you know, just to kind of be a stalwart force in the bot lane, because you could flip to the other side of the map, and that's where maybe the other volatile matchup of everything is in the top lane. Again, this was another big one for Cubby in talking about his own surprise at the performance of Philip and willing to call himself out as wrong in his assessment initially. But now, of course, these two players who have a history against each other in Academy get to go against each other on the LCS stage, Emily.
Here we go. We get to see the 1v1 coming out here. I think the big thing for these two players in terms of the framing of them going onto these teams, a lot of people talked behind the scenes that I talked to talk about them kind of similarly as players, where they're like, they're both coming onto the LCS stage at a point in their development where we feel like they might not necessarily be ready mechanically, but either circumstances with TSM, obviously, because who needs wrist issues, and then with FlyQuest, them just thinking he was a better culture fit for the team is really interesting to compare. I think one of the reasons why Philip has been able to do so well is because internally, like, not only FlyQuest, the organization, but this team overall, their pieces seem to communicate really well together, as we've already talked about.
Yeah, and that's going to be the killer point. The fact that it seems like, regardless of who they fit up topside, be it Kumo or in this case Philip, the bottom four, like the core of the team, are communicating incredibly well. They're playing team fights super well, and it feels like Philip has fit into that solidly as a great puzzle piece. So I will say for Soul, what we saw from him yesterday, he got that 3-man dive on him top. It was rough. No. At least he wasted the enemy team's time long enough for the bottom side of the map to like get a lot out of it. And so I think
he did.
Yeah.
He lost a lot for that.
He did. He did. So what I want is for him to be able to communicate well enough. If there is this humongous 10,000 minion wave crashing on you, giving the heads up for your team to be able to defend you on that, because you do not want to get abused by a team play. Yeah. Getting abused by a 1v1, like, he can be able to review that and make, okay, I can do this like a little bit better. But if you have 3-4 people diving you and you have like almost no response, then that can be improved upon as a team.
I think it was Jatt on the desk yesterday talking about how one of the big difficulties in League of Legends is to tell how good a player actually is, because on winning teams you look amazing, on losing teams you look terrible. And I think that's something that the top laners are going to be a bit of a byproduct of their current environments, where FlyQuest has great organization. The team's playing well. They all seem to get along. TSM is obviously going through a number of struggles that we were talking about. And I just don't want anyone to judge Soul against Philip directly too harshly, because it is such a team game. And laning phase, we can maybe look a little bit more directly. But even that is about, like, how did they ward for you? Where did your jungle pressure go? Who got gank setups and drafted resources? Just
to support that point, Blabber has said just as much, kind of in the opposite direction, that a lot of his rookie split was just him being on an incredible team. Like, yes, he's a good jungler. But he was very much just kind of lifted up by a lot of incredible players around him.
100%, but I will say that the strongest thing top laners can actually influence in a game is like building plans for your team or your jungler, letting them know if like, hey, I can build a 3-wave dive here. Like, I want you to be a part of this play, or even calling out your mid laner if you know that they have prio, or in Soul's case, knowing when they're building a wave against you and when you can like call your units, call your teammates to do something with it, right? So these things, especially for newer players, it's rarer to see. But I'm liking it. Even hearing from Huni yesterday, he was praising him and saying that how much he has developed game after game. He gives him input. He makes use of it in the next game.
Well, and that's why for me, as we're about to move to predictions, I don't expect or even need to see the win, right, from TSM today. For me, as we have that conversation about what goals should be for the team, it's about a few of those set plays. I want to see the communication between Soul and Spica to set up a play and get a small advantage, even if ultimately they don't win.
That man's smile.
That's the vibe.
That's, I mean, what did Cubby say? Got $1 million smile. Go along with it all.
It's actually crazy how valuable it is for your team when you're in a really bad spot in your organization. You're taking losses after losses. The losses feel depressing, but you can provide that real positivity there. Soul's doing it.
All right, Raz, 3-wall, your prediction. Who's going to take it? TSM, FlyQuest.
I mean, it's no surprise here. It's FlyQuest. I have it easily for me. They'll take this win.
There it is. Emily, what about you?
FlyQuest.
Wait,
what?
You're Mark
Okay,
Z
so
now.
I was.
Because you messed with. That's Mark's fault.
We can swap.
Musical chairs.
Whoa,
Ready, go.
I said FlyQuest.
Okay, so Mark predicted FlyQuest.
Yeah, oh, do we get to do this?
Yeah, Emily
All right.
predicts.
I also predict FlyQuest.
Woo!
I'm just gonna point at myself.
And Raz will point at himself. Look how wonderful.
A lot of green up
And
there.
you're finger gunning back to yourself.
There it
Look at
is.
that. That's brilliant.
It's my only pose. It's my only
All right,
pose.
everybody here thinks FlyQuest is going to take it, but we'll see if TSM's got a surprise in store for us as we get ready to kick off the draft. Josedeodo tells us what it really means to be the best jungler for your team. Take a look.
I don't know what is considered to be like the best jungler. I think the best jungler is like the jungler that can fit better with the team sometimes. So I just think that the jungle role is like the final piece in the game that is always like on the right spot, you know? So I think that's the most valuable in the jungler. Like the jungler is always on time, the jungler is super confident on what the enemy jungler is doing, how to counter the enemy plays. That's a key jungler for me. I don't think being clutch in place and doing plays is good. You always have to be better than that. And I think the focus for jungler, like now jungler is not as strong as last year. So I just think the jungler role is like more like fit in time and be in the right spot all the time. I think that's the best for junglers.
Be in the right spot at the right time. We'll see if it happens. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the cast. I am Phreak. I am with Azael. Together we be the Doug duo. However, Jatt is with us as well. So we're just 3 dudes.
I'm in the right spot at the right time.
You are the right spot at the right
with
time.
the Doug duo, much like Josedeodo. Different perspective now after experiencing different things. Jose went to Worlds with Rainbow 7 trying to be a carry jungler, had a bad year in the LCS trying to do the same thing. I think an informed perspective now on how to play better, as I think FlyQuest and Jose are having their best splits in a while.
And they're doing really, really well. I like this. We got they're following up the G2 trend of write your teammate's name on your face. So we got Tuki for toucouille. Yeah, good luck getting those right and separate. But this is interesting. So Mark Z, I'm putting your name out right now. During waiting room, said that, I'm going to paraphrase, FlyQuest should be 7-1. He said they should have beat Team Liquid and they should have beat Immortals, which would make them a 7-1 team tied for first. Mark Z said it. I'm just quoting, paraphrasing. This is the first place team, Jatt.
Here's what you can quote me on. They could be 7-1.
Wow.
But they're not. They're 5-3.
Yeah, just like last split, they could have been like 3-4 when they were 6-1. So they, to me, are a much stronger team than they were in spring after 8 games, even though their record doesn't show it. So if you're TSM making all of these roster changes and hoping that, okay, we'll drop one to C9, but maybe we'll take out FlyQuest, this is the wrong time to be playing against FlyQuest because they are definitely playing like a clearly top half team in the LCS.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the way that they're getting their wins, that you're alluding to, right? Obviously, in spring, it was kind of around this Enchanter meta and playing that. And we didn't have confidence that that was going to last. Of course, that got nerfed out. And then they weren't really able to pick up nearly as many wins. Now they're playing much more standard. They're playing a very cohesive game. They're getting some strong performances out of the individuals. I think Philip, while his laning has been a problem, I think he has performed better than I expected from him. Cubby was saying that as well. In team fights, he has looked aggressive. He has been, confident to look for engages and things like this. And that all really bodes well for FlyQuest when you're already a top half team and you have someone who's brand new to the LCS in Philip, this 19-year-old rookie. There's a lot of growth opportunity for him. If he becomes a strong laner, the team could be really, really good.
Absolutely. And I mean this story positively. What I've heard is that he has had a really, really rough time in scrims. That expectations were super low based on practice. But on stage, he's stepping up. How many players have you heard of like, oh, they're scrim gods though, and they choke on stage? He's the opposite. He steps up when it matters this early in his career. Like, I am stoked if that keeps happening.
He seems very relaxed. I ran into him before his game yesterday, which normally you'd expect a rookie to be extremely nervous. He was very talkative, seemed very calm. And even before the match, when we had people throwing out plushies, he was putting his hands up, hoping to get a toss. So he seems very comfortable on stage, and we'll just have to see if it manifests here against Philip and FlyQuest.
Yep. Well, it's looking like it's going to be Sejuani top for Philip. I do really like Sejuani top paired with melee junglers.
Yeah.
It can actually be very, very powerful as far as the gank assist, and we're going to get to see how Soul will do in this matchup. Of course, Philip was able to have the answering pick here on 3 on red side, so are expecting him to do fairly well, but generally you're picking Sejuani more to neutralize and what you're going to do for the team comp, less about the 1v1.
So I ran into Soul this morning. So first of all, I talked to him 2 months ago, and I'm like, hey man, so you're new to the academy, that's cool. Like, how long to make LCS? He's like, I'm gonna give myself 1 year. It took 2 months, by the way. In 2 months, Soul became an LCS top laner. But I talked to him this morning as well. And I was like, so, rough start up against Fudge there. He's like, yeah, but you see when I played against Philip in Academy, I 1v9. I smurfed both games in that series. So he's like, I'm feeling confident. Like, no, we're going to shake it off. We're going to do well this time. So Even when he was against an Ornn, he actually kind of clapped on Gangplank. So we'll see if Gnar Sejuani is going to look good for him. Of course, we are into the second round of drafts. Nautilus is in. Maybe a Pike for Chime would be exciting. But looking for Engage for FlyQuest. What does it give you for TSM? For now, maybe a Zhao for Spica.
Yeah, one couple interesting things about the champions in this draft. Spica had actually played,
Swain.
he'd played 5 Viego games so far this split in their 8. So that being taken away early by FlyQuest makes a lot of sense. And also, this is the first Gnar game of the year for Seoul, including Academy. So in 29 stage games, he actually hadn't picked the Gnar. But in a discussion yesterday with Huni, we were talking about how Gnar is actually just kind of re-emerging a lot in the meta and can be a safe blind. So TSM was just looking for a safe blind top laner is what it looks like.
Yeah, I actually really like the Zen as well as the Swain here. You know, it looks like FlyQuest is drafting much more towards dive. Of course, they do have the Jinx, and Corki is going to help to round that out. But with 3 divers, Swain, I think, is really, really strong. You know, is very good as far as the counter engage. I think Zhao works there as well. I think Corki does help to kind of answer some of what TSM has kind of drafted. If they're looking more to kind of absorb the dive and peel back, well, Corki doesn't need to dive, right? Corki is just going to poke from a screen away, constantly show out those rockets. And you do have 2 hyper-scaling carries here on FlyQuest now with a very beefy front line, so well-rounded team fight composition. Does not look to have much power going on in the early stages here on the FlyQuest side, so I think that's where TSM is going to have to try to create some advantages, see if Seoul can get the push, see if they can actually utilize that to get maybe some advantages for Spica, because I do think if this game goes slow, I favor FlyQuest in 5v5 big time.
Get to see the lanes play out as here because, yeah, talking about the composition on the FlyQuest side, none of these are bad laners. Sejuani tends to be a bully in a lot of lanes. A little bit hard to bully a Gnar who's got the range on you. You look at Viego. Yeah, Viego scraps pretty well early, but against Zhao, who scraps a bit better early, right? Like, even Jinx Nautilus can really do a lot of work. But yeah, every single lane feels just slightly TSM favorite, at least on average. And so we'll see what comes out of this one, though. TSM certainly looking to shake things up and move upward. Chime and Soul and Instinct. What? Oh, I like that.
Oh man, this should be a fun one. We'll see if FlyQuest is going to continue their winning ways. Is that like clearing out? Maybe is that medicine or something?
It could be.
Maybe he had a bloody nose and he just doesn't want it to affect him during the game.
A possibility as well.
I'm not sure if it's like Vicks or something or what.
I'm not sure, but we are onto the rift, everybody. TSM 2-6 so far. FlyQuest, in the words of Mark Z, should be 7-1. 5-3 right now, though. FlyQuest
just hammering that, aren't
solid.
you?
I will bring it up again. Solidly though, in 3rd place. FlyQuest. I mean, they made back-to-back finals a couple seasons ago. Like, I would think of the teams who are sort of like the new blood in the LCS, right? Like, not the old guard or TSMC and whatnot. FlyQuest did a really, really good job of putting several incredibly strong rosters together.
Yeah, and I think the reuniting of aphromoo and Johnsun is starting to pay dividends for this team because especially in their wins against C9, they've had very dominant 2v2 performances. And also I feel like Jose has been able to be more involved and more on the same page with aphromoo. So as I believe the oldest player in the LCS, aphromoo still performing at a very high level and in lane, right? It's not like he's just this savvy old shot caller. They're still able to outplay in the early game. And that's something that's fairly true for FlyQuest in general. They are actually one of the best early game teams in the LCS, which is one of the reasons they have looked so strong so far in summer.
And we can see they're not actually leashing, whereas TSM's bot lane is leashing. So I want to see what FlyQuest 2v2 is going to look with this. If they're actually just going to stay in the brush and try to cheese, try to look for an early hook, you know, as TSM enters. There doesn't look like they're hitting the wave based on the minimap. So yeah, I think they're actually going to wait for TSM to walk in and look for a level 1 hook here and try to get a really good trade, which could get them 2v2 prio.
Chime could get hit. Of course, has Guardian. Anchor's not going to go for it. They don't think they want to go onto Rakan itself. And notice the positioning, right? Like, even just little crossing your T's, dotting your I's. Chime is the one who's like, if you hook, it's hitting me. Guardian pops because we're on top of each other. I'm fine here.
And who knows how this lane is actually going to play out, but historically, as we saw from Cubby talking about the laning phase of Instinct, even in Academy, he wasn't necessarily that strong of a laner. So I think what TSM is looking for with this bottom lane substitution is a more stable bottom lane. It's basically, how can Instinct not die in this matchup and then maybe be an effective team fighter late game? So definitely expect aphromoo and Johnsun to be the ones pushing the pace in this lane if it gets bloody.
Here's level 2. That blue minion right there. Boop. And he goes right in. That was close.
I thought that was going to lollipop onto him for sure.
Yeah, it was close. But hey, it's fine. Chime knows his distances, right? Picks the perfect accuracy. Right click here, it's fine.
I'm gonna be interested to see what build Maple goes for as well. When Swain, got its initial changes, he was doing a lot of the Mandate build in Champions queue, and was a pretty big fan of that. I'll be interested to see if he's gonna go for that again, or if it's gonna be more Liandry's. I really do prefer Liandry's because a lot of the power in Mandate is just relying on your teammates being there to actually proc it, right? So if you are in a 1v1, if you are in a side lane, which generally mid laners have to do at some point in the game, you are significantly weaker. That being said, if you do go Mandate Rylai's, you have a lot of additional move speed when that is popped, and you have the slowdown to constantly stay on top of your opponents and keep the ultimate active all the time.
Yeah, my guess is going to be Liandry's, especially with the way the team comp is playing out. Primary magic damage for the team, as well as having a Sejuani and Nautilus to cut through, makes the most sense. But yeah, especially, Azael, especially if you're on ARAM, you got to go with Mandate on Swain.
Sure, yeah, your team is always around. Fair enough. Got strats here. For those of you ARAM-only players watching the LCS, hey, Mandate, very good on Ashe, very good on Swain. And hey, by the way, Liandry's Mnemonic now stack on the live game, so you don't hit your teammates by buying one either. Yeah, nice. They finally fixed that one. So next week you can get two Liandry's in the same team for the LCS, but already good on live. Just so you know, for all the ARAM heads out there. Philip pushed into the turret. Farming pretty well, though. Soul dropped around 8 minions on the first 4 waves pushed, so not having the best time so far, but gets a good trade back there. Grasp had gone through, but Soul has the health lead. But now without cooldowns, going to back up. Josedeodo is on the way. Ward comes down in time to spot it, and yeah, it's not going to be much, honestly. He would have seen the ward go down and knows, I don't have much of an angle here.
His wave is in a pretty awkward spot, though, right? It is a little bit dangerous if you're not sure if the jungler is around. And you are, kind of in that neutral position just outside the enemy tower. So we'll see if Philip's going to push it back towards him, or if he's going to try to reset there.
Oh, nice anchor. Going to land a Zeri root. Not quite in time, though. Instinct able to jump back, and that means huge damage on aphromoo. Able to walk away, stays alive. Heal is held as the flash is down and everything else, but Instinct happy to keep going now and push the wave in.
Really nicely done by Chime there to do a little half turnaround. It did cost them the Ignite, though, which is what kind of let them win the trade. It will make their next all-in less lethal if aphromoo is able to heal up a bit.
Still, they got the flash off Afro, so it's well worth it in the trade. The chompers from Johnsun just not quite fast enough to be able to actually chain. If they were able to land that, I think it goes very differently, but because that wasn't there in time, Instinct just dashes back and then is able to return fire very easily there on Afro.
Well, we got FlyQuest heading down. Now, nice ward, though, put down already. That Trinket sees, hey, something's happening, and they're like, you can hold the lady. Wow, interesting. They're not going to build a freeze here. They're going to clear the wave out. As Instinct walks away and looks for a recall, probably.
Yeah. I want to see if they try and push this wave and quickly sneak in for Dragon. One of the ways FlyQuest has been able to get these early game advantages on teams is they start Dragon stacking very early. That might have been a window to take one, but it would have really messed up the wave. So they're making sure that Johnsun can get his farm, get his item, and probably reset. And I think Dragon's going to wait for later.
Yep, looks like he is going to reset. We can see that Chime is just heading out towards mid, potential roam here. And it is, in fact, going to be the Mandate build here for Swain. So is going for it again. This has been mostly what I've seen Maple build. He plays a lot of Champions queue, and pretty much every time I see him playing Swain, he goes for it. So it is interesting, but it seems to be his preference. Yeah. And we'll see if that can work out for him. I am definitely expecting him to go Rylai's second with this. I'm actually more of a fan of Rylai's first into Mandate second if you're going to go for this type of build, because I do think it gives you more of kind of the solo lane power. Oh, yeah. But of course, Mandate at least gives you a little bit of mana regen, and that can be useful for lane.
Yeah, well, we are into this one. As far as I can tell, anecdotally, people have mostly gotten off the Mandate build. I see the most Swains I see are doing Liandry's builds. For sure. But yeah, he's about the teamfight version.
Maple thing, though.
Yeah, and hey, look, it's not bad necessarily, but I think in the average game it underperforms. So we'll see if it gets the right game state for Mandate to work well for him. Instinct back in the lane. Noon Quiver, always the power spike you want on an AD carry. If you're farming well, you'll get that before mid lane is at 6. So again, if you're farming well, you can get away before TF6 or a Swain roam or whatever. So has Noon Quiver, feels pretty solid there. Not quite the components there for Johnsun.
Yeah, on the Mandate question, Phreak, I'm looking at our favorite site, Wallalytics here.
Yeah.
I got Liandry's is built about 5 times as much as Mandate, but the win rates are within 1%.
Scroll down to the first item win rate, not mythic win rate. Because a lot of Mandate builds are Rylai's Mandate, and that's going to change.
It's 2% different as a first item. Yeah. But Rylai's first would be 54, which is slightly above Liandry's.
Yeah, so I like Rylai's first actually quite a bit on Swain.
To me, when they're that close, it makes it conditional based on your team confidence.
I like Rylai's first builds, right? To Azael's point, and I think in that world you can look pretty solid. But yeah, Mandate first for solo queue underperforms. Pro is a different beast, obviously. And so we'll see how it plays out. Ultimately, at the end of the day, obviously solo queue data does not always apply 1-to-1 to pro, but it's a good jumping off point for anyone out there who's like, I want to do analytics. Like, you get a good inspiration, and then you kind of go from there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like that's true with most statistics, right? It's like they can just inform your discussion rather than dictating the discussion completely. Of course, this game pretty passive here early on. Both teams feeling happy to kind of trade farm, and I will say that this does bode well, I think, for FlyQuest when you're playing Corki Jinx with multiple frontliners.
Got him this time.
Gonna be locked him. A huge damage aphromoo is flashed up, but able to walk away pretty safely and careful. Will there be a flash follow? No, not going to be in range. Everyone jumps away in time. Josedeodo cannot land that stun, and it will be walked away again. Heal burned by Johnsun. And picks little gold. toucouille doing a great job just warming up on a scaling pick. Happy to kind of have control since there's really not any items on his opponent mid laner. Doing very well on that one.
Yeah, so really a fairly conservative game so far, and this would be the gank that looks for them to start the dragon, but they really don't have the mid move right here. With Corki mid, he doesn't have the shove, and Maple can push him right off the dragon.
Finds a slow, afro hooks right back out. Half cool number hitting a wall. That control ward's still not cleared out, so Instinct and Chime are on vision. I'm not sure they even saw them jump over. This could be danger. Here we're gonna go. Nice sidestep. Instinct in range to jump the wall. Gonna stay alive.
And nicely done by TSM. The bot lane and Maple push FlyQuest off the dragon while Spica is actually taking the Herald on top side, so they deny the ability for FlyQuest to actually get the cross-map trade. And they just go positive in that, and we'll see how much they're gonna be able to actually get from the Herald now.
Yeah, and I think this little sequence we just saw here is one of the reasons Corki, that's like the weakness of Corki. Is in the early game, you're not able to make those moves. Sure, if he gets to Ludens and Hydra and Manamune, he's going to have amazing power with his rockets later. But here, he was unable to support the dragon, even if the other jungler was taking the Herald. So TSM kind of taking advantage of playing against the Corki early, but now they have to get something out of the Herald.
Of course, first package, I believe, spawns at 10 minutes, so there's no way to use the sort of true Corki ultimate in that situation. No, it's definitely ours. Get off. But, in 30 seconds, he can take his recall, he can TP if he wants to, or just walk with the increased move speed of package. And we may see FlyQuest go for their early dragon here. But yes, TSM, boys take a small gold lead. FTX gold advantage, actually pretty much tied right now, but a Herald means 300 gold at minimum. And just like that, before it comes in, TSM make the run for Drake. They claim it before there's ever a chance at package, and they get everything.
Yeah, I think they're actually in a fairly good situation right here. If they can get Maple's Imperial Mandate before the next dragon fight and can complete a couple mythics, they'd be in a pretty decent position to think about stacking dragons, especially when I look at the way Soul is laning top lane. Mercury treads and a call, but I would say his forward percentage this game has been extremely high. Every time I look up there, he's pushing Philip into his turret, which will generally mean that it's hard for Philip to become involved in anything in this game, and Soul more likely be able to get into the fights.
I mean, he's even taken a plate up there, right? And I'm not saying Gnar, Sejuani, oh my gosh, you're winning, no way, but like, he's playing that aggressively. He's taken a plate off the lane. The one Josedeodo gank, he sniffed out just on instinct, because he was sitting in a tri-bush on a controller, and he's like, I should ward here. Oh, I'm safe, cool, right? Like, he's played this one pretty immaculately. He had like a very brief visit from Spica to say hi, but otherwise it's been really good by Soul.
Chempug Chainsword for Spica, first item, is actually just what he bought up.
Ooh.
So it is way more efficient than it had been in the past. So, a lot of these items, healing reduction items, you don't need them only just as an anti-heal type thing. Yeah. But I have never seen this from a first item as a Zen.
Good flash gets away from Phillips. Roam down to the middle lane. Jose, not going to be around for much, but really well done by Maple to walk away.
Like, it is interesting, right? Because there's obviously not really any healing besides the Viego on the other side. Yes, it is fairly efficient, but like, this means his Mythic is going to be so late into the game, right? And the Mythics are also super efficient, especially when you're playing against 3 melee. I feel like your first Mythic is going to be such a big spike, right? It's so easy to actually land a multi-man heal.
Yeah, of course, Gordon can certainly do a lot, but yeah, as far as like just stats, the amount of attack damage, health, ability haste, it beats most mythics on stat efficiency. Now again, yes, Gordon active certainly matters, right? Let's be clear about that.
Especially against 3 melee, right?
Of course, but yeah, it is the most AD and health you can get at this point in the game.
Yeah, 55 AD, 250 health, and 25 ability haste. Hasn't fought a champion yet, so no healing reduced.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of healing reduced this game. Spoilers. There's just, it's going to be Viego. That's like about it, right?
Viego, Summoner heal, and then,
But it is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those changes that, like, I think was a little bit strange, to be honest with you. Making like the anti-heal items just like more kind of generically strong means that there's more opportunities to build them, but you just kind of randomly build them. But looking towards top side, the tower has been chunked down. Second plate about to fall here, and the Herald is going to come out, so they're going to get it down. They won't be able to finish it, but it'll be down to 1 plate.
pretty good here. So Soul's gonna get his half credit, another 160 onto him. Really, really well done there. And yeah, he's just happily winning his lane up there. He told me early this morning, it's like, yeah, man, I 1v9 when I fought against FlyQuest Academy, when I fought Philip before he went up to the main team. So try and do it again there. I like it. I'm glad the man's confident.
He was equally confident against Fudge.
He was. it did not go well. He knew it.
Yeah. But if you're going to be confident or not confident, I'll always choose confident.
Yeah. I'm looking for solo queue data, by the way, on this item versus Zhao. 440 games in the last month.
Yeah.
It's really low.
Yeah.
No one does it.
I've literally never seen this. Junglers, especially in pro play, junglers are relatively low economy generally, compared to solo queue.
Yeah.
So usually, like, Mythic first is just always going to be the answer because it's a long time often until you get to your second item there. It's not like you're playing mid or AD where you're going to be funneled as Trendus down a farm. But Instinct in the area, they're going to find this play.
That's after Sean knocked up. That's got to be first blood. And it's Clem. The Campunk Chainsword is undefeated at first blood.
Yeah, actually the 7th game out of 9 games, TSM has been able to get first blood as well. And they're in a very powerful position right now in the game. So not only did they pick up the first blood, looking at the top lane, they have teleport advantage on Gnar versus Sejuani. And it's about to become unleashed in about 5 seconds. So the second dragon is also going to be very takeable by TSM.
That's going to be exciting. Maple, he just do battle with toucouille up in the middle lane. Teleports indeed do convert now at 14 minutes in, and it's going to be the wave clear. This is pretty much the timing, right? Clear the wave with 4 seconds to go. Recall, take package, walk down. That's the basic Corki timing. T-minus 1 minute, clear the wave, go. But we get some little time for Philip. No plates left on the turret, but does get some damage there. So we'll take his farm and look for his teleport play.
And with Philip having the push, he could theoretically just move towards bot, but that would mean giving up your first tower top. So I don't really know that it's worth it. We can see this one more time. Instinct was in the pit. The Zeri laser slows down Afro. In goes Chime. And as soon as he gets hit by the knockup from Chime, Afro knows he's dead. No use using the flash there.
And really good. Gets a charm as well on Josedeodo, but far enough away, it's not going to be a problem. Bot lane is being pressured. Nice attempt by Maple to help out, but they're all going to be able to sidestep it.
Here comes Spica, though.
Yeah, Instinct feeling safe again. They know, hold on, he's stepping up because he's got a teammate. Indeed, Spica is on that ward. Dragon is up. Corki should have package. Indeed, does.
I mean, Soul can teleport into this if they can buy a little bit of time.
But he won't have any Mega. His Mega actually just expired, so it's not really that threatening. We'll see if they want us to look for it.
He is in base. They get toucouille to package away to safety. And that means TSM own it because, honestly, it was smart by Soul. He hit the recall. So Philip's like, look, I can't stop him. He's in base. He can always TP 5v4. And they're like, yeah, you're right. We don't want to take that play. Maybe they made the teleport, maybe something, but FlyQuest going to have to give their 3rd straight objective.
It is interesting, right? Because in that situation, I feel like maybe it's even worth Philip using his ulti to just stop the recall if they're that concerned about it. Package is such a power point that, taking that dragon, stopping any potential stack towards Soul would have been a pretty big deal. But TSM are going to grab that second dragon. Going to be feeling pretty good about it. And Soul does hold on to the TP anyway, so not even going to be able to force that out.
And I got to say now, 15, 60 minutes into the game, TSM up 1,000 gold, 2 Drakes. You will say, like, the scaling of the Corki Sejuani probably a little bit better than what TSM has to offer, but just the style that we're seeing out of TSM right now, much more conservative than we've seen in the past. They've overstepped in a lot of the losses they have. Now it looks like they're trying to push the tempo a little bit by forcing this Rift Herald, but it should just be able to be taken since FlyQuest took the bottom turret with their tempo.
Chime is a flank angle. He does not have flash, but he has ult. He's going to walk right in the front line. Be careful, buddy. Lands a double charm, jumps back to his team, and he's going to even get the next target as well. So Sejuani going to be the attack. Chime barely alive, ignited, but shouldn't die just yet. And now here comes Swain. Does Maple get his way in? Does he find the help with the teammates? Nice shot onto the back. Then Maple has to print an early stopwatch. This is a lot of danger. He's going to find another stun, but he's still pretty tanky. Philip low on help, but no one's around to deal any more damage. So it will be Herald claimed by FlyQuest. Josedeodo pops the eye, gets it. No casualties.
Yeah, good for TSM. A little bit surprised that FlyQuest actually tried to force that hard into the Swain. Afro flash ulting after the missed hook onto an ulted Swain there. Not allowing the ult to even reset. They do get the stopwatch at the very least, but TSM obviously playing kind of like a more reserved game, as you were saying. But I also think it's partially because FlyQuest just seems happy to just scale, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not really forcing anything at all either. Both teams are just kind of sitting back. TSM has won out in the small little skirmishes around objectives to get advantages there. But for now, I think FlyQuest's read is that we wait for the the tier to finish stacking. We get the Ludens on Corki, we get 2-3 items on Jinx, and then we're just going to win. Whether or not that's right, we'll have to actually see. some more interesting builds coming out. Spica looks like, he's going towards a tank mythic, so it's not going to be a bruiser mythic. I'm expecting it to just be Sunfire. Sunfire seems really, really strong these days, and after the buffs to HP on the tank mythics, a lot more people are kind of mixing them in. Even some like the AP bruiser builds that Kobe likes talking about a lot. Things like Shyvana, you can do Demonic plus Sunfire, and this is maybe kind of the evolution of that a little bit here. Chempunk plus what I'm assuming is going to be a Sunfire, but it could be a different option as well.
Yeah, I feel like there's reasons for all three. I think Iceborne is the most awkward.
Iceborne seems weird because you already have a slow on your W and stuff.
E-auto is already a slow. The AoE can kind of matter. Chempunk, or sorry, just going the full Chem synergy makes sense just to get in range to play the combo. And if you're just going for like full damage, like Sunfire just really is quite strong. But yeah, has looked good. Looking for a play now, a little bit of the slow, and Spica walks right back in, takes the trade for a bit, gets away from the hook. Afro gonna go for the ulti itself, and Spica gonna take his own ult for safety. Hope they're not pushed out because TB comes in. Right there for the double stun, and Soul sets up a duo. That's gonna be Johnsun running away as well. 3 kills now on the board for Spica.
Oh, the TV timing there from Soul was perfect. Coming in as Mega, gets the 2-man Mega Gnar into the wall. They pick up both the kills. TSM opening up a pretty big lead at this point now, 2K up here. A minute 30 until the next dragon. Maple's gonna take down this top lane tower for sure as well. So the gold lead gonna extend, and TSM likely to hit 2 items on a lot of their carries here before this next dragon fight, which is gonna be a really big deal.
Huge momentum swinger, and again, the kind of the space that Soul has since he's been able to win this matchup so handily is what unlocks that. That spot on the map has actually just been a death zone for TSM this year. If we think about the game they lost to EG, that was the 5-0 fight that ended up losing them the game entirely. So some really bad memories in that zone, but able to come out here. Like the start of this actually looks pretty haphazard, right? Like Chime just bails, Spica's doing everything he can to get out, but then they're like, oh, actually, we have Mega Gnar, no one can interrupt this teleport. Time to switch the buttons. Beautiful stun into the wall with the last little bit of Mega, and they pick up 2 more kills for Spica.
And that's one of those situations where you wonder if the communication could have been better for FlyQuest. If you know that TP is arriving and he's already Mega, then Jose and toucouille need to flash out, right? They need to flash before he actually arrives, because the Mega was about to expire, and that's something that could be communicated in that situation. Philip is calling, hey, he's got like 3 seconds on Mega, he's coming in. If you flash early, maybe you can actually get out of that situation. But a great TP from Soul, making the most of that situation. They're going to take another turret down on the bot side, nearly 3K ahead now here. We'll see if FlyQuest is going to actually try to challenge. Package picked up right now by toucouille. You can see him on the mini-map coming out very, very quickly. So FlyQuest is intending to challenge, and they do have their 2-item spike here in the mid laner.
They're so down in multiple other items, though. Zeri has 2 items, Xin has 2 items. Let's see if Package makes a difference. It doesn't look like they want to give it away. They're at least going to poke.
Mini Gnar, though, just transformed back down, and Soul has not been able to shop with the money he got from the bottom turret. So there's plenty of gold in pocket that cannot be spent. Of course, the teleport is down here for the young Canadian. But we've got a 3,000 gold lead otherwise. And as you mentioned, the items are there. That's the important part to actually measure. Package. How much time will you buy before it times out? You got a little bit here. Chime goes for the charm, gets 1, looks for a second, double knock is there, and they're gonna dive right on. No way out for Johnsun. He'll drop. Spica's on a rampage now, 4 kills in a row. Maple knocks down toucouille. Package or not, it does not matter. And he goes in for a bit more. Ulti to save there, Josedeodo, a flash to follow. Maple finds another. Spica's on for 6. He's gonna keep on going as he gets number 7. KW will not quite land, and someone else will find that kill, but the Drake will certainly be claimed. Soul comes in. Hello and welcome to the LCS in your second game. You're the difference maker. TSM 7-0.
7 kills to 0, 3 Drakes to 0. This is a completely different result than basically everyone was expecting coming into this FlyQuest game.
Spica 5 kills now on the Xin, way ahead of the pace of the game here. Maple was on his 2-item spike as well with the Mandate plus the Rylai's. 2 items were in there for Instinct. The biggest difference felt like just no sums available on Johnsun, though. And Chime just has a great flanking angle here, right in from the bot side. Spica comes in. There's no flash available, so Johnsun has no way out here. Chime even going to be able to escape. And with Johnsun down, toucouille tries to go for the hero play, package straight in, but he just gets erased by Instinct and Maple, and there's no damage left in the comp.
Yeah, looking back at this fight, I think FlyQuest definitely had some mixed ideas. Philip trying to one-shot the Rakan doesn't do much. He needed to use his Sejuani ultimate on the bulk of TSM so that then they could buy time for Johnsun to solo, but they just got completely spread out. toucouille goes one way. while the Sej goes the other, and that's the reaction from them. They know this game is now almost out of reach.
And that is the danger when you're playing this style of composition. When you have two carries, like two damage sources here, you've got to protect them. And if they're not enabled in the fight, you are really, really low on damage very, very quickly. And with Johnsun going down, and maybe they shouldn't have even fought without having flash on him. As soon as Chime had that flanking angle, that really was the difference maker. Now they are so far down, they can't really afford to continue playing slow, because if you give over the Hextech Soul, that is a huge advantage there for TSM.
Also want to give some credit to Chime. We've done a lot of talk about Soul, but this guy has definitely had a journey. He spent a lot of time on Golden Guardians Academy, actually played Golden Guardians LCS in the summer of 2021, only to go back to Academy this year. Had a rough start to Academy Summer, but found this opportunity on TSM and trying to make the most of it. I'd say this game on Rakan, he has had very good engages, played a good defensive lane, waiting for his team to be lined up, and right there was the starter of the fight that may have broken open the game.
So far, so good. TSM looking to find their third win. As, Chime's engaged them good. Soul has, remained in control, and obviously, we can kind of list everyone who's made good plays, right? TSM handled a lot of the pressure on the bottom lane. It has been a solid game, and it's cool to see with 3 new players stepping up, many of them just hard rookies, actually stepping up very well against a team that has demonstrated excellence. Like, we know FlyQuest are actually a good team in the LCS. This is not a fluke 5-3. They are a very good team in 3rd place right now, and TSM, they got clapped by Cloud9. Okay, sure, Fudge, put a cannon up in top lane, but bouncing back after that game and stepping up to a very good one is impressive to see.
Absolutely. And for FlyQuest side, you wonder if they're just not kind of giving enough respect over to TSM, right? They're drafting what is kind of like a very passive comp. They're playing an extremely passive game, and maybe just expecting that they're going to run over TSM in the team fight stage, but has not been the case whatsoever. Now Zhonya's even coming through. The item completions are just being pretty massive, and when you're looking at the gold advantage on the top side of the map, it's a good 2K up in both top and jungle. Like, that is where most of the advantage is. So the carries, toucouille and Johnsun are not that far behind, but their top side is so far down. So FlyQuest, if they can take fights where Spica and Soul aren't involved, then that could go okay, but they're going to continue looking for
ult. He's going to burn it early. He tried to predict the Mega Gnar, and he waited it out. So well done by Soul. Times it out. Knocked from the wall, and Baron, as you mentioned, should be a pretty obvious call. No jungler to steal it.
I think FlyQuest will definitely try and contest this. It's a question of how many missiles can Corki land. I think FlyQuest is going to try and make a fight out of this. They teleport in the Sejuani as well.
Maple's behind them. Like, this is impossible. If you go in and Maple comes in behind, so they're going to try to turn on Maple here.
You get the ult out early.
Yep, and Mythic doesn't do much in a 1 versus 1, so as long as you can get Philip out of range, this will eventually time it. You see the bar ticking down.
Chime has a good position, though.
And the ulti ends, but no one is around for the steal. It's a Baron claim. Maple bought enough time, and Chime does find his first little bit. Johnsun, he's slowed by the house. He's still going to be able to flash just to safety. Staying alive, but he's summonerless.
That's so huge, though, because 40 seconds before the Dragon Soul, again, you're going to have a Jinx with no summoner spells to protect himself. And, I can just imagine this fight. Spica just flashes in and tries to 1v1 him. I don't know how FlyQuest can contest this Drake and realistically expect to win.
Absolutely. Chime has flash, Spica has flash, Soul is going to have flash, right? That is a dead Johnsun. It just hasn't updated on the screen yet. That is a tough one to actually try to fight out. But TSM had a great setup for the Baron, right?
Yeah.
They have Maple answering mid. You can't actually give the flank to the Swain or he'll get erased, so they try to turn on him, but that buys so much time, and Chime is behind them as well.
Gotta get something.
toucouille does have package, so that's something working for them. If he can land a tremendous amount of poke, maybe they have a chance, but it's going to be all about Johnsun.
They just gotta go, I think. If they try and fight early, that's their best chance.
And they're going to look for toucouille, getting slowed up, got to package around, a lot of spots being taken as Soul drops. 1 so far, Afro going to burn the zone, he's packaged pretty well right now. Disengaged though and adapt onto the support, but he yoinks back, well done. That is the AD carry gone, Ozzy flies in, Zhonya's popped, and here we go. It's time for Instinct to go for broke.
No way.
Number 4, give it to him, you better not steal this. The kill comes through in his second ever LCS game. What is it with TSM AD carry stand-ins and first week pentakills? Instinct seals the deal. The Dragon will drop. Soul is claimed. Baron is claimed. and TSM's first win on this new roster will be claimed as well.
What a fight and what a moment for Instinct there, getting the pentakill here, 13-1, a 10K with the Soul as well here. TSM are crushing today.
Watching this fight one more time, you knew FlyQuest had to try something, so they burn all of their cooldowns onto Soul. Yes, they do get the kill, but look at what they extended themselves to. The dive comp trying to go into a Swain with the Imperial Mandate will give extra damage, and the move speed, as if Zeri needs more move speed to run people down. Gets the triple, gets the quadra, and then everyone back away. You do not want to steal his pentakill.
Absolutely, I love that.
I would alt F4 briefly. That was, I'd reconnect. You just see the summer disconnected thing, you know?
I've got to say, though, credit to FlyQuest. I think it was a good attempt. There was no ult on Chime at the start of that fight, and I think that's what prompts them to try to really force, right? And they did get that early kill onto Soul, but it's TSM far too strong. You can see FTX Gold advantage, 10K in the lead for TSM. They are on the push here. Going to look to try to close this one out, or at the very least, deal lethal damage, knock down a couple inhibs, because they are just monstrously ahead, and it's going to be up to Johnsun and toucouille to try to make something happen.
Just about 6,000 on the Red Bull Baron power play. Weirdly, the graphic does not show pentakills earned during Barons, but that one's in there as well. Count out on the scoreboard for Instinct here. You have to give up the top inhibitor at this point. Anytime you're defending while down, you always mount your defense around a turret. You pick one that you're most happy to fight around. Top outer, yeah, we maybe skip that one. Mid, maybe you try on that, but at least next to turrets is kind of the attempt. But once the turret's going to be given, you probably never fight for the inhibitor unless the position gets really weird. So 11K gold lead now for TSM. Look for their third win to round out the first round robin. With a 1-1 record of the new roster, certainly a better look than the old one had.
Yeah, it's been such a strange split for TSM, Phreak, because I would say even their old roster had a lot of close games which they were unable to close out. The big difference with this one, to me, is just how conservative they were playing, right? It never felt like they were over chasing into a zone. Most of this game was fairly measured play around objectives, and then they were able to find the right fight. So that looks like the style that TSM is going to be going for with this new squad if they decide to keep it together.
We'll see. Well, of course, we'll see them more next week. See what iteration they're going to go for. I know they're actively trying to find the correct roster for this team, but a win over FlyQuest is a high-quality win, and they look good while doing it. Unless they massively throw, and it's a heartbreak. This will be TSM going for number 3. Philip going to keep trying to wave clear Josedeodo. And of course, the Hurricane Jinx, good at that as well.
Yeah.
Sieging on Zeri is okay. She has an 8 escapes. Her Q is decently long range, so she can get turret chunks in, but for now, they are waiting for Maple to split push.
Exactly, and they're waiting for that top lane wave as well. Supers are coming in top. The wave is going to be crashing bot here. That is kind of the timing that they're looking to punish on, but they don't have the wave synced up with mid and bot. Jose, though, getting low.
Look on to 1K here as well. Not enough to execute, but maybe going to just walk right in, say you're not allowed to play for this one. I like the right positioning. TSM making the right call to ensure that this turret is going to be getting, and they're going to look at mid lane now as well. So triple inhibitor going to be pretty much a guarantee. FlyQuest still need to heal. Triple inhib, incredibly hard to come back from, of course, here as well. Not even counting the 12,000 gold lead.
But think of all the free gold.
Think of all the gold you could theoretically earn if TSM don't end the game.
And I know it's a small thing as they might try and end the game right here if they can get a kill on Philip.
He's tanky. Slow resist is now gone as well, but down to 1,300 health. Going in by the Swain as well.
FlyQuest might try.
And they just might try. Now, Soul, fully minion Arsenal's going to land. They're going to try to get out Maple's ulti, but he's slowed by the Rylays, and Philip will indeed die. Soul, nearly Mega Gnar. aphromoo incredibly low. Stun's going to land. Chime finds the charm, finds the knockup, finds the follow-through from Soul, and gets out with the life. Well done by Chime on support. Soul able to walk out as well, and TSM now in a 5v3, and call it an 8v3. They got super minis floating in from all 3 lanes now as well. Lick through wins for a second, but you gotta believe they can close the game out on this push.
Yeah, they're gonna try utilize a TP, get another member back at full health. Instinct low on mana, but full on damage, so I think it's just a matter of time before they end this one.
Flash in for the slow, almost knock up ulti for safety now as well. Azonia's out for Josedeodo.
And they're so low on TSM's side.
Yeah, the health bars are low. You
a bit about
are
resets.
forgiven to fully reset, but the ult's already back now for Maple. Johnsun has to run the Fern Flash again. Package could be good. Next could fall, though. Zeri gets one. Legendary for Instinct. The Nexus falls. TSM's new roster finds their first win.
Another pentakill for the TSM AD carry. It really does bring back memories of 2013 Wild Turtle. Caitlyn in the bottom lane. This was Instinct Zeri at the Dragon Pit. but what a moment for Instinct. It felt like a very conservative game for him before it blew up. I think a lot of engages by Chime, some good plays by Spica, and a lot of smiles right now for TSM.
Yeah, I mean, you love to see it, how happy Soul is, and I also love that it goes straight to Huni.
Yeah.
You know, goes to Huni for the hug there. And Huni talking yesterday about, you know, kind of the relationship that they have.
It's a 2v1 lane.
Exactly, it's a
Huni's
2v1
brain.
lane. It's Huni's brain in Soul's hands. It works out for TSM today. It's got to be a big confidence boost for the team, a big momentum boost here as well to show that you can do it at this level, that you can take down one of those teams that have been performing very well in the LCS.
So, 2 promotions from Academy on the TSM side in top lane and AD carry. Chime coming over from Golden Guardians Academy. I ran into him briefly, asked how he's fitting in the team, says it's going well. So if it's a good atmosphere, and this is the quality of play we can expect after, you know, game 1 jitters, then I'm excited for this TSM roster. I hope they can keep this up, because I really like the players here. Everyone I've talked to has been kind of wonderful, honestly, so this would be a TSM team to rally behind.
Listen, Chime has put in a lot of work to try and get his shot on the LCS stage. You love the charisma coming out of Soul. That feels almost like a natural handoff from Huni to him with the way things have gone with Huni's wrist and all his experience in the LCS. And honestly, a very unexpected win here for TSM, but you do want to see if they can build on it because they have had such a difficult year as individuals, as an org. So, especially for me, the players that are on stage, it's good to see them have a win.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been really tough 2 years for TSM. You know, you think back to, obviously, in 2020 summer, they won. You know, that was big for TSM. But 2021 was not, you know, them living up to their expectations, which obviously are very, very high for this org. 2022 has been far below expectations. TSM had been the perennial finalist, right? You know, it was like 10 straight finals that this team had made. And they are, you know, pretty far removed from that now. And they're trying to obviously build back towards that. You know, bringing in 3 Academy players, expectations were very low. But if you can find success with them here in this year, it's something that TSM fans, I think, can rally behind, especially when you're looking towards the future and you're thinking about, all right, if some of these guys are able to perform right out the gates from Academy this early on, what does the future look like? Because the future could look pretty bright.
It's so interesting with how reactive it feels like TSM has been, right? How much pressure is on the players who come in immediately, right? Like, I feel like if Instinct or Soul don't have a good game, we might not have seen them next week, with especially the announcement of them saying they're looking for new, like even when they announced that Instinct was coming in,
for Academy,
they're saying, oh yeah, we're also probably going to look for another AD carry. It's hard if you're a results-based team when he gets a pentakill to not at least give him another week. So that's a really good sign for these new guys on TSM.
All right, well, we will see more of TSM and, of course, FlyQuest as well next week. But now we are joining LeTigress with both Soul and Instinct in our Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you, Phreak, for the first time here on the LCS stage for our post-game interview. We have Soul and Instinct. Before we get into some of the specifics of this game, I want to start with both of you. Just tell me a bit about your journey coming here to the LCS.
Okay, so for me, it's a bit bittersweet. You know, I've always looked up to Huni as like a top laner. He's been someone that's like world renowned for like however many years, and you know, see him suddenly one day, you know, just have wrist problems and being unable to continue his career is honestly heartbreaking for anyone that's been keeping up with the league scene for a certain amount of time. And you know, understanding that I have really, really big shoes to fill, there was definitely a lot of pressure. But luckily, you know, Huni's, if there's anyone that could help me get to that spot, you know, to play on the LCS stage, it would be him.
Yeah, I'm sure this is a very interesting relationship for sure.
We love you, Huni!
Quite a journey thus far. What about you, Instinct?
For me, it's just proving myself. I don't think our results speak for who we are as a team, but I think we're definitely like stronger than, or like we're good as a team. Also, there were a lot of doubters and haters against us, in my opinion, so we proved them wrong.
I mean, one way to prove all the haters and doubters wrong is to get a pentakill in your first week back here on the stage. Tell me a bit about what was going through your head in that moment, how you were remaining calm, cool, and collected while pulling off such a play.
First of all, I just saw, I guess, my Gnar into it, so into it. But then we were just so ahead, and they were just, we were just so ahead, so we just kept killing them. And I saw the angle, and yeah, the pentakill.
kill them again and again and again and again. It was definitely fun to watch, and I think a lot of us are just curious about how this dynamic is going for the team as a whole. A couple new players stepping in. We have Spica really being a leadership. What is that like?
Oh, I mean, it's a dream come true. You know, on one hand, you have like an MVP superstar level jungler, you know, leading you in the game. And then for my mid laner, I have someone who's, you know, been playing in like world championships on the big stages for like 10 plus years now. So, I mean, it's everything you could want. You know, you got that leadership, you got the carry, and just being able to play alongside them and, you know, play on the stage with them and even win, it feels amazing.
Oh yeah, we're so excited to continue tracking that journey. See how you climb up that pentakill leaderboard in the future. We'll be looking out for that as well. So great to hear from you both for the first time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you so much.
TSM fans rejoicing after the victory with the new squad. We are kicking it to a break, but as we go, let's enjoy some fine dining with the Fugitive squad.
Let's go again.
All right. Again? Bro, no. We've been scrimming all day.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. There you go.
Guys, can we play one more? Please?
Oh, bro. We haven't
eaten
yet. We haven't eaten. I think, guys, let's get some food, get some rest. I think everyone, you did great work today.
Wait. Can we please get like one duo key win? Please, man. I need to play.
You haven't eaten. We gotta eat.
Please, I just want to get one more.
To one of your favorite spots in Philly. What's your favorite restaurant in Philly?
They have the best chicken.
That's good, right? Good. That hits so hard. I've been sleeping on these. These are so f***ing good.
They're amazing.
What the f***? I feel like the food at Dave & Buster's is so much better than people realize. Like, people come here for the games. It's like a restaurant. It's fully a restaurant.
Yeah.
And a good one.
Red Bull gives you wings.